I think I'll go for a walk outside now. The summer sun's calling my name. I hear it now. I don't know why. It's like lunchtime. I probably need to eat. I haven't eaten yet. It's a beautiful sunny day outside. I could be going for a swim, but I'm not. I'm here making a video for you. And this is our psoas stretching and glute strengthening video. So what is the psoas? The psoas is a muscle that runs from our T12, we have two of them, wraps around the front of our body and has its insertion just in the hip there into our femur, which is a big bone in the top of the leg. Now the opposite muscle group to that is actually our glutes. So when we stretch out our psoas, we actually want to strengthen our glutes so it's going to hold everything in place. And it's not often enough that we do that glute strengthening exercise that's going to help balance out the psoas. Now, one of the things that happens when you have a tight psoas is that you might actually start to experience some low back pain. So you would think that the psoas would find you kind of closing down in this front action because it's the movement that takes you forward in that walking action. But in fact, what happens because the insertion, or the origin rather, is in the T12, in the thoracic spine, what happens is that you start to shorten into the back. So you end up getting this anterior tilt of the pelvis, which causes or may cause a little bit of low back tightness. So I'm not going to say that it's the only cause of low back pain, and if you do suffer or find yourself with extreme back pain, definitely get someone who's an expert in that field to have a look for you. Acupuncturist, myofascial release specialist, massage, physiotherapist, chiropractor, or osteopath. Any of those guys, super going to help you out in that space. Even for me, with my psoas stretching, sometimes I just need the assistance of someone else to help me look at what my spine is doing to put me back into place. And I highly recommend that you do that if that's your experience as well. So, one of the things that we do with our psoas muscles, we do a lot of things that are really like forward orientated. So in that forward and backward plane, not really going side to side too much, unless you're busting a dance move like I am now, but definitely forward and back. And a lot of our lives are spent steering wheels, so in our seats, working in the office, shopping trolleys, devices, sitting down. So this psoas muscle has just become naturally tighter based on our lifestyle. So this is why some of these stretches that we move through today will become essential in letting that psoas have a little bit of respite. The end of this practice, we are actually going to come into one of my all-time favorite yoga shapes. And it involves a block or indeed a bolster, and we're going to release into the psoas, and it's a really beautiful release. And it's one of those ones that when I first did it, I was like, I can't feel anything here. What is even the point of this? But as I moved into that practice and learned to connect the breath to the concept of surrender on the exhale, I was able to find that respite and certainly give my psoas the respite that it deserves. So we're going to use blocks and possibly the bolster in this tutorial this afternoon, and we're going to start working into the glutes, and as a result of looking to strengthen some of the action of the glutes here too, we are going to work into the hamstrings and find some strengthening there. And some of these exercises you can do with different gravitational forces at work, so you might even like to try them standing up, and I'll demonstrate that for you as well. So let's look at stretching the psoas to start with. So I'm going to come from a kneeling space here. I'm going to step my right foot forward, and as I'm going to come into Anjaneyasana, I'm going to put my hands underneath my blocks, and I'm going to let myself sink into my hips, but I'm supporting myself with the blocks here. Now you can do this without blocks, and if you can reach, say, the right hand down to the floor, which I can, but blocks are a really super way to get into this shape and really give yourself the support and the opportunity to stretch into this space. Now, take your right block a little bit further out to the right, lift the left one up to the sky, take that arm towards the wall on the right side. So you're dropping into that hip and you're opening up and stretching that arm, reaching towards the right side of the room over the top of the head. So there are variations here that you can do which is bringing the elbow into the back of the head and pressing the head back here. But this is a really nice opening stretch. So you can insert this, this sequence that I'm showing you today into sun salutations so that you can get like a little bit of an extra psoas stretch. So really press that hand into the earth, lift up and out of the hip, and find a little bit of length. And you can rise up out of this shape. I'm really stretching into the psoas now. I can feel it. And exhale back down. And what it will feel like is not directly into the hip flexor here. You will feel it more in towards the center of the core, and you'll feel it lift up and over the top of the hip here. So it's quite an interesting dynamic once you figure out how to switch, and it might switch that on. It might take a little bit of movement to find out where that stretch is going to work for you. Inhale, take the arm back to the center. Find a little bit of balance here. Give yourself a little bit of a respite in kneeling. You might even like to just move the back body around. Now, I can already feel that my left side, and this is the side we were stretching, the left, already significantly different to the right, just from those few inhale, exhale breaths. So let's step the left foot forward this time. Almost forgot where I was going. I'm going to drop down into that hip opening, take my left block to the left, reach the right up and over, and this block is just acting as a guide here. I mean, you can do it without the block. Inhale, lift, exhale, surrender down. And I can make some adjustments here and just move the upper body, maybe even bring this back a little bit and find my way into that stretch where I can feel that happening for me. Inhale, exhale through the mouth, and that exhale through the mouth is going to allow you to surrender. So I possibly don't need this block on this side. I didn't need it on the other side either, and I'm going to get more of a stretch leaning into that left hand. I can really feel this into my psoas. It's right through the center over that hip. And as I lift and pull this left hip back in space, I can feel that running over the top of my, or up through the top of my hip here into my waist, which feels quite good. Inhale back through to the center. And we're going to take the knees back together. We're going to plop the blocks down for a moment and come to tabletop. So this is where we start some of our first, we've just really given the psoas a nice stretch. And this is where we start to work the opposing muscle group, the glutes. So I'm going to tuck the toes at the back here, and I'm going to tuck these toes under. I'm just going to open up into the foot. Now, what this does is it starts to tell me where the back of my knee is at, and I can do this with my knee bent, but it's not going to work as well. If I really want to feel that opening, it's going to tell me that the leg's going to be straight behind and that I'm going to have to activate the glute, which is this muscle at the back here, to lift the toes up off the floor. So we want to press the hands into the earth, and we're just going to lift that locked leg up and tap it down to the earth. So lift and tap. And lift and tap. You might feel like you're having a Jane Fonda moment in the 80s. We're going to keep that knee locked out, hold your balance, and try and isolate the glute so that you're feeling this leg lift in that left butt cheek. Now you are going to feel a little bit in the right too, and that's pretty good. So we've got 3 more to go, 2 more, 1 more. We're going to hold that up. Find your center here, and you might work with the toe tucked or the shin pressed down to the mat, yogi's choice. But I want you to turn the toe like you feel like it's almost like crossing over, like it's turned in. And from here, I want you to pull that heel into the butt. And we're going to do 8 of these. 8, 7, belly to spine, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring that bent knee back down to earth. And this is the one that everyone loves. We're going to lift the leg to the side for 8. I feel like I'm back in the 90s, like teaching aerobics. So I think we're up to 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Exhale, release. Stretch back into child's pose. So I'm actively stretching in this child's pose. I've got the toes tucked underneath and I'm reaching all the way forward, and I can feel this stretch in my low back. Take an inhale breath. Exhale through the mouth. walking back up, come back into our tabletop, and we're going to do that on the other side. So first of all, we're going to stretch this leg back and press the toes into the mat and start to activate the glute in that right leg, belly to spine, and we're going to lift that straight leg all the way up to the sky and back down. Well, it's not going up to the sky actually, it's lifting until it's roughly parallel to the mat, and that knee is locked out, so we're really isolating the glute, and we've got 6 more to go. 5, 4, 3, belly to spine, 2, press the hands, and 1, hold it up there. Turn that toe in, like it's almost like it wants to turn in towards the other leg. And then we're going to kick that heel into the butt. So for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring that knee down to earth. You can already feel that respite. And here we go, leg to the side. 8, 7, 6, try and keep the weight evenly distributed through those hands. Activate the core for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring both knees down to the earth. Tuck the toes. Send the hips back over the heels. You can walk the knees back towards the toes. Allow the belly to rest down on the thighs, and the head comes down to the earth. We're going to roll through the body and come all the way down to the earth. And you can play that game with these leg exercises in this prone position. That means belly down to the floor. So I'm going to keep my hands by my shoulders here and my elbows tucked into my ribs, my toe tucked like I'm standing and my feet are flexed. I'm going to activate the glutes here. So it's almost like I'm pressing the hips into the floor, lengthen through that back leg, and you can see there's just no room for that leg to go until you start activating the glute and really lifting up in this space. So you can do this lying down as well. It just makes it just a little bit harder, and you don't have the full range of motion of the leg just yet. And again, you can bend into that leg and flex the foot and lift up here, and then moving it to the side and back, to the side and back. So it's like it's coming out, the knee's coming to a 45-degree angle and back. Exhale, release. I'll demonstrate on the other side. So we're going to flex that foot to start. Face is down towards the mat, so you have that length in the back body. Isolate the glute, lifting and touching the toe there with that locked leg. 2 more. I'm going to bend that knee. I'm going to start to lift here for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then I'm going to knee out to the side and back. Oh yeah. 2 more. Last one. And back. I'm going to press all the way back. Take a little stretch here. And you guys can hang out there for just a moment. But I just want to demonstrate this standing up because it does add a different dynamic to the activity, and it works a little deeper into the hamstrings. And it's really useful for when you're practicing balances, Natrajasana, and that would be when you want to reach the hand back and you want to activate the leg to reach back here, because for a lot of us at the moment we kind of circle back and find our way in through there. It throws you off balance. So this is about activating the glute and finding that release in the psoas so you can move in this space. So you can bring the hands to the hips. You want to separate the feet so they're roughly about hip width apart. I'm going to draw the belly into the spine, lift the heart space, but draw the shoulders down and back. I'm going to take the balance into the left leg, and I'm going to lift that leg behind me and bring it back. So I'm lifted behind and bring it back. So you're lifting up out of the hip, isolating the glute, taking that leg behind. And you can do this another couple of times. And then you're going to hold that last one back. Then you're going to kick the heel up to the butt. So this just makes it a little bit more tricky because you're adding balance into the mix, but still super fun. And then touch that toe down to the earth and just little lifts here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. My butt is burning. and we better make it match, better do it on the other side. So I'll do it side on here so you can see it. Feet roughly hip width apart, ground the feet down into the earth, feel the length through the legs, roll the shoulders down and back, lift the heart, belly to spine, and we're going to take that leg back and bring it in. So we really want to lock the leg out, and it's just playing in the space. And this is just a different center of gravity. So we're just engaging slightly different muscle groups just to help us along the way. Toe goes back, and I'm going to bring that heel into the butt. This is a really tricky one, this one, because you're really trying to get that hamstring a little stronger, and you need that glute activation in order to do that. And then we're going to keep that leg nice and long, just little toe taps, still keeping that leg long and straight, isolating into the glute, and that's enough. Get your Saturday night disco hips on and give it a little bit of a shake and bake. Okay, we're going to hit the dirt, coming back down onto the earth. Now, these aren't the only glute activation exercises. There are plenty. You can move through bridge pose, you can do step ups, a whole raft of things. And if you check out some of my online tutorials on YouTube, there's mini flows that have a whole host of different things. You can move into like squats and lunges from high crescent lunge with cactus arms. So it doesn't end here. There are a gazillion things that you can do. What this is when you're starting out your practice, this is a really beautiful way to integrate some of this training into your practice before moving into those bigger shapes. I still love these practices, and I engage them in my one-on-one trainings and classes all the time, much to the distress of my students who go, why do I have to do this? And then they get yogi butt and they're like, this is why I do it. This is why we do it. Okay, coming down to the earth. We are going to lie all the way down, bring our heels into our butt. You can do this with a block or a bolster. Now, if I'm going into a respite pose, meaning I'm going to stay there for quite a long period of time, bolster is super nice. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to use the block. I'm going to lift the hips and I'm going to pop this underneath the pelvic girdle. So the pelvic girdle is the pelvis. So you've got your hips here, you've got your bum. I don't want the block under the lower back. We don't want to be arching with your butt cheeks hanging off the back side. We want that block underneath there. You probably got a little bit of butt cheek off there, but you want to feel really supported in this space. So if you're just starting out here, keep the block at a low level. If you have been doing this for a while, or it's something that a practice that you've engaged in, then you can take the block up, and occasionally when I practice I take it to its highest height. But even for me, I just love it right here because I still get that respite through the psoas. So arms out to the side, about shoulder height, and we're going to take the right leg up to the sky, flex that toe back, and we're going to exhale for 4, 3, 2, and 1. As that heel touches the floor, send the heel away. Take deep inhale breath through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Inhale, exhale. 3 to go. Inhale, exhale. Deflate like a balloon. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. I can already feel that little bit of surrender, and I don't even have both legs down. Press your left foot into the ground. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Lift both legs high. Right leg comes down, and we're going to bring that left leg for 4 slow counts down to the earth, and send the heel away. 4 inhale, exhale breaths through the nose, out through the mouth. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. I can feel my body like deflating like a balloon as I breathe here. Exhale. Last one. Inhale, exhale. Press the right foot into the earth, engage the core and lift that foot all the way back up to the sky. Take both feet up, and you can do that exercise as many times as you like. And in fact, when you've got one of those legs down, you can keep it down there for as long as you like. We are now going to bend both legs and drop the heels back down to the mat. Take the right foot out to the right, a little bit further towards the edge of the mat, and the left foot out to the left, a little bit closer towards the edge of the mat. Now, flex the feet and send the heels away. It's almost like you can walk your butt a little bit and find a little bit of length. Take an inhale breath, elbows into the earth, tuck the shoulder blades away. Exhale slow. Let the feet fall out to the side. And now do nothing. So, this might not feel like too much as you start out, or it might feel super intense. And if it feels super intense, you can put a bolster underneath the knees and take a little bit of pressure off the low back, still give the psoas a stretch. Keep the feet flexed, let the knees roll out to the side, but the bolster underneath the knees is just going to give you a little extra support in that space if it's paining you a little in the lower back. If not, stay in this space and just breathe. You can rest the hands onto the hips here and bring a little bit of heat and energy to that space. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. With each exhale breath, you're going to feel yourself ever so slightly surrender in that space. It might not feel like much at all at first, but with each breath, it's almost like you're just peeling back a layer. And at first you might feel your toes relax. Then you might feel your knees relax. Then you might feel the hips roll open a little more. You might feel the belly surrender or the chest relax and the shoulders release. And then eventually the psoas, or after about 90 seconds, so roughly 6 to 8 inhale, exhale rounds of breath, the vagus nerve is going to say, psoas, it's okay to rest. And then you're going to feel the respite. So if I stop talking or stop laughing, I'm going to feel this even more. And honestly, this is one of the simplest shapes that you can make in yoga, in your yoga asana practice, but one of the most beneficial. The other thing that's happening here is we're shifting our perspective. So instead of looking forward or down, we've actually opened ourselves up to all the possibilities of the universe. So another reason that this shape is kind of amazing. So you can stay in this shape for 10 minutes. We're not going to stay in this shape for 10 minutes today. I'm going to bend my right leg. I'm going to bend my left leg. I'm going to press both my feet into the earth. I'm going to bring my hips back down to the earth. Then I'm going to bring my knees into my chest. I'm going to give myself a little hug here. Flattening my back down onto the floor and just pulling the knees in. And really feeling the elongation of the spine from the tailbone all the way to the top of the cervical spine where it meets the base of the skull. Tucking the chin into the chest. And as you inhale, find that length through the spine. As you exhale, see if you can roll the whole back body down. Feel the pressure of the body into the earth as you deflate the lungs. Push all the air out. Inhale. Little expansion. Exhale. And then we're just going to roll onto one side. Press ourselves all the way up. And come into seated. So that is a little bit of psoas stretching and glute strengthening. So you're giving that psoas the muscle, the release that it needs, and you're strengthening it into the glutes so that you can balance that out. And I already feel like I have less tension in my low back, so that actually feels super good for me. So there are loads of things that you can do in this space, so don't discount lunges and squats and a whole raft of other things that you can integrate into your practice, but certainly early on, some of this glute strengthening work can be really easy to integrate and mix in with your tabletop, your cat-cow, and indeed into your sun salutations. As you move through down dog, pop back into tabletop, and you can stretch and strengthen whilst in that space. Anyway, my yogi friends, that is psoas stretching and glute strengthening. I will see you on the next tutorial. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to open up a thread or ask those questions in our Facebook group, or indeed send me a message through Instagram, Facebook Messenger, or email. Namaste, my yogi friends. Have a wonderful day. Ooh, gotta get in. Feeling good.